Hello everyone, this is Archer and Olive Ambassador Sian, also known as @Perceive Grace, both on Instagram and YouTube. Today I am sharing a couple of simple book review journal spreads in a traveler size journal. I'll be using some Archer and Olive basics like the Everyday Bookish stamp set and the Dot Grid Planner ruler. I did print out some book cover stickers here at home. I do have a printer and a Cricut maker, and then I pulled some washi that I think matches those covers. I only use half of them, but you'll see how I incorporate them. Thank you so much for being here, and let's get started. Like I said, today I am sharing two examples of more minimal or simple book review journal spread ideas. Book review journal spreads can really be as in-depth or as simple as you want them to be. If you're familiar with my Instagram, you are very familiar with how in-depth some of my book review journal spreads can be. I will walk through or flip through a little bit of those at the very end of this video, but I want to show you some more simple spreads that take little to no resources. Book covers are not something you need for a minimal book review spread. You do not need to have the book cover incorporated in the book review spread in order to create book review journal spreads, so no pressure there. But otherwise, these are just my version of simple book review journal spreads. I immediately thought to myself when I was tackling these ideas that the first thought is, are these going to be full page spreads, half page spreads, quarter page spreads? No matter what size journal you're working in, that is probably a question you're going to have. In a traveler size journal, I'm showing you half page spreads and then quarter page. So this is a half page example here where one book is on one side, takes up half of the full page spread, and then the other book is on the other side, so on and so forth. This obviously is much simpler than if I were to do a full page across the entire journal, traveler's size bullet journal, full page spread. And I'm including categories that I might want to reference in relationship to the book later. So the publisher, the release date, the genre, the setting, the format, the pages, like the page number, or how many pages I should say, the page count, the date started, the date finished, and I just enter those here. And of course, my thoughts. I do show you later on book review, the quarter page example where your thoughts are much simpler. And keep in mind that if you create a simple book review journal spread, you don't even need to include your thoughts. So if you're somebody who you don't really care about what your thoughts are in the future, you just want to you're just simply logging all of your reads and what you rated them. I know of a lot of people who just do that. They just want to keep track and document all the books that they read. So really this, like I said, this can be as micro or as macro as you want from the setup, but I really like this. I will say I am a maximalist when it comes to my journal, so this was a challenge for me to think of like what would a minimal book review journal spread look like for me, and I have to say this would be it. And even this still has some decoration, right? Like I had to include those sparkles with my calligraph pens, and then I had to include matching washi to the cover of the books, and I had to kind of have some flair with my lettering and use stamps. So just know that a truly minimal spread probably wouldn't have any of those decorative things, but this is my version of that, and I still think it's super fun and simple, and clearly didn't take me too long to make. And I will say that matching the vibe or matching whatever decoration I use to the book covers has always been important to me. I've always really liked that in my journaling. So if you've come across that before, or if you haven't, I hope you appreciate those little details as well. Moving on to the quarter page idea, I simply just selected washi that is bookish in theme. So this doesn't necessarily match the covers, although I still think it looked quite cohesive with the books I selected to review. And as you can see, Regency is definitely my genre of choice, and I have read all of these books that you see me use as examples here. And even though I keep spelling Frederica wrong, as you see here, this is a book I recently read in April, and I gave it 5 stars and really loved it. It was my second Georgette Heyer book, if you are familiar with her Regency classics. Anyway, so this is a quarter page idea. As you can see, each book only gets a dedicated quarter page section of each half page. Obviously, that's simple math there. And I didn't do it in this example, but on the other side would obviously be 2 more books. So either way, I use the Everyday Bookish stamps. There's like a review stamp, which is so helpful, and it fits so neat and tidy in here. I can see this being really nice and satisfying in an A6 size, where maybe because it's so small, a half page or full page would be perfect for that stamp. And as you see here also, I'm just obviously entering in the little fields there, and it's just super satisfying. So I hope you enjoyed this video, enjoy the rest of it, and stay tuned for me going over more of maximalist examples. So you kind of get more than what you bargained for in this video. It's more of a scrapbooking style, and I'll see you in that segment, and thank you for watching. Like all things, there is a maximalist and a minimalist way to do things, right? There's always a low maintenance example and a high maintenance example. I will say that although I showed you that minimal example, that easy book review spread idea, I want to definitely show you what I am more so attracted to. I would say I am a maximalist when it comes to my journals, and you might be as well. So I definitely wanted to give you that perspective too, but I wanted to take it all the way back to December 2022 when I first started doing book review spreads in my bullet journal. This is the first book review spread I ever made in my bullet journal. As you can see, I started off fairly maximalist as well, capturing the vibe of the cover of the book, using ephemera, Pinterest images or images from Unsplash, stickers, so on and so forth. And if you want to get even fancier, this book was a fantasy. No, actually it was a dystopian. This is a dystopian. And so there was a map for the dystopian world. So I just printed that out and added it in here too. It depends on how much you want to get into the stories as you're reviewing them, or how much time you want to spend on things. And after 2022, I realized that the way that I liked doing it, the A5 did not feel big enough for me. So moving into 2023, I moved into a B5 size specifically for my reading journal. So I just want to show you a couple examples of the B5 size. So as you can see, I moved into a larger size, had more room for all the stuff I wanted to use. Another one. Last but not least, I do want to share one more version of my maximalist. What I'm showing you is from March 2024. Here's just an example of a book I read. Similar to the maximalist style I just showed you that was like scrapbooking. I'm no longer really using ephemera. I'm using digital art primarily from Etsy. So I buy these in bundles. You can kind of search endlessly for what works well for the books you're reading. See, and you can search keyword clip art. So you can search like cowboy boots, clip art. But going over here, here's a good example of minimal versions of this. So these are half-page spreads. You might be thinking to yourself, wow, I want to create a book review spread for every book I read, and I do like the maximalist style, but wouldn't that be just too time-consuming to create something this in-depth for a book I don't really love or wasn't as inspired by? I agree with you. So I only create spreads this intense, I guess, or this, this into it for books I really, really loved or felt inspired by, and for books I didn't love as much or didn't feel as inspired by, I do half-page spreads. I hope all of that makes sense. There are a lot of examples on my Instagram account if you want to see more of what I've shown you here, but there will be a free printable in the description box below, tied into the blog post corresponding to this video as well, that just shares a minimal book review printable template that you can print out and put in your reading journals. If you don't have the stamps that I used earlier in this video from Archer and Olive, or you can't get your hands on them, but I hope you got really good ideas. There are thousands of ideas on the internet, so do what works well for you. Happy reading and happy journaling, and we'll see you on our next video.